Hi everyone, thank you very much for stopping by and returning to the old world. It's Monday, so that can only mean one thing. It's the return of the old world Almanack, and this time we turn our attentions to whether we're blown away in the shooting phase. And now, much like the other phases that we've learnt about so far in this series of articles, the shooting phase is divided into 4 distinct steps. However, it does look like it is different to movement, where everyone does one thing, then everyone does the next thing. This is you go through the 4 stages on a unit by unit basis. So far, so much like Warhammer of years gone by. What do you do? Well, firstly, you declare a target, you roll to hit, roll to wound, remove casualties. Pretty standard stuff. It seems that for the vast majority of units, only the front rank is going to be able to fire unless they've got the volley fire special rule, which will allow additional models to have a shot, and split firing isn't going to be a thing. We also learn that the roll to hit is going to be the old add up to 7 rule. So if you've ballistic skill 3, you'll need a 4+ in order to hit before any modifiers are applied. What is new, however, is units with a really high ballistic skill will get a reroll. So if you're ballistic skill 6 or higher, you get a second bite of the cherry. Now, when it comes to wounding, again, we're looking at a very much old school chart. If your weapon strength matches the toughness of your opponent, you'll score a wound on a 4+. If it's 1 point higher, it's a 5+. 2 points to 5 points higher, you'll need a 6. Anything above that is going to be impossible to wound. So the article gives an example of a strength 3 bow not being able to cause a wound to a creature. That is toughness 9. Then we move on to the armor save phase or sub-phase, where your unit that is the target gets to roll to make a save against the incoming wounds, with the armor value being affected by the AP, the armor penetration value of the weapon in hand. Now, this does look somewhat different to the rules as they were. So back in Warhammer Fantasy, Strength 4 gave you -1 AP, Strength 5 -2, etc. However, looking at the rules that are given for the Screaming Skull Catapult, we can see that the Strength 4 bit of the hit gives a -1 AP, but the Strength 8 only gives a -3, so there is a slight difference just there. The article then goes on to talk around some of the other special rules that will exist, information of which is yet to be revealed, these being breath weapons, fire and flee, and quick shot, which the example given here is Dwarven Iron Drakes. Presumably that is something to do with standing and shooting in response to a charge, but we will have to wait and see for more information on that. Finally, we have a couple of examples of magic spells which can be fired in the shooting phase. The old classic of a fireball, 2d6 strength 4 hits, AP dash, whereas the strength 4 previously would have given you that -1, and then a vortex of chaos, which creates a small template that goes whizzing around the battlefield. Now, templates. This is a really important revelation, I think, and really goes hand in hand with that argument around base sizes. And there's loads of people out there picking up on earlier comments by Games Workshop saying base size doesn't matter. But if there's template weapons, it absolutely does, because it means that the size of an individual model's footprint is going to be different, and it's going to be harder to work out what's hit and what's not if units aren't on something that will identify where the right base size comes to. So this does put an argument, I think, in favour of making sure models are based correctly. or if they are using the old base sizes, making sure any movement tray is clearly delineated to show where the correct base sizes should start and should end. That will probably get a lot of people hot under the collar because base sizes are quite a big deal when it comes to the arguments and discussions going on online. But I don't think this is entirely all of the special sauce that is contained within this article. No, because the article also talks about Barbarian Javelineers. Now, there's never been a unit called Barbarian Javelineers before. Sure, some Marauder units could be equipped with javelins, but that wasn't what they were all about. So this suggests that when we see the warriors of chaos, the mortal followers of the chaos gods, rolling out onto the battlefield, we're going to have some kind of unit option that has a missile function as its primary purpose. Maybe this means we're going to see some kind of a light infantry option coming into that particular roster, which will be quite interesting, and it's not something we've really seen with mortal followers of the Chaos Gods before. Yes, they've had the fast cavalry, they've not really had an infantry role in this sort of way. And I think this further leans into the concept that there's going to be a very different battlefield role for different types of infantry, different types of cavalry, in a way that perhaps we've not necessarily seen before, and is something that for me does seem to lean into the kind of concepts we see in games which have smaller scales, so 12mm sort of models, things like that. But there we have it, the shooting phase. Make of it what you will. What are your initial thoughts around this part of the game? Are you invested in the concept of templates? Do you prefer the newer approach to games like Warhammer 40,000 of Age of Sigmar, which have taken away the templates to make things a little bit easier to work out and a little bit less divisive in a game? Again, so let me know. All that remains to say is thank you very much for listening to my comments on the shooting phase. I am returned to the old world. Have a great day.